This is Whisper from History, where forgotten voices rise again. In July 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, something happened that would be remembered forever. People without music, without reason, began dancing in the streets. They danced and danced, until some dropped dead and others collapsed with broken bodies. No one could understand what had taken hold of them. Was it the work of dark spirits, or the grip of a strange illness? Stay until the end to uncover the chilling truth behind this haunting mystery. In July 1518, in the bustling city of Strasbourg, the sun blazed down on the cobblestone streets. Merchants called out in the market, children played near the wells, and townsfolk went about their day, with no idea that something strange and terrifying was about to begin. That morning, a woman named Frau Trafia stepped into the middle of the street and began to dance. There was no music, no festival, no joy in her movements. Her steps were frantic, almost desperate. At first, passers-by laughed, assuming she was simply in a good mood, perhaps entertaining herself. But within minutes it became clear that something was wrong. Her face was tense, sweat poured down her forehead, and her feet began to bleed. She danced without stopping, as though some unseen force compelled her to move. Hours passed. The crowd around her grew, murmuring, debating what they were witnessing. Some thought it was madness. Others whispered of possession by evil spirits. Night fell, but Frau Trafia did not stop. By the second day, she was still dancing, her legs trembling but relentless. By the third day, she collapsed from exhaustion, only to rise again and continue, her eyes vacant. Soon, she was not alone. 4 more people began to dance uncontrollably in the streets, then 10, then dozens. Within a week, over 100 people were caught in the same frenzy, their bodies jerking and spinning without rest. By the end of the month, historical records claim that as many as 400 citizens were affected. They danced in the blazing sun, in the rain, on the uneven stones of the marketplace, their feet swollen and bloodied. Many screamed for help, but could not stop their movements. They danced until their muscles gave out, until they collapsed from sheer exhaustion. The city's leaders were horrified. Strasbourg had seen famine, disease, and war before, but never something like this. Desperate for answers, they called in physicians. The doctors dismissed ideas of witchcraft or demonic possession, and instead diagnosed the sufferers with hot blood, an imbalance in bodily humors that they believed could be cured by letting the afflicted dance it out. Their solution was to encourage more dancing. They cleared halls, built wooden stages, and even hired musicians to play day and night so the dancers could release the sickness. This, however, only made things worse. The music seemed to feed the frenzy. More people joined in, their bodies convulsing in strange rhythms, their faces twisted in agony. Witnesses reported seeing dancers collapse and die from strokes, heart attacks, or sheer exhaustion. Some would be carried away, unconscious, only to wake up and rush back to the streets to dance again. It was as if an invisible hand gripped their bodies, forcing them to move. Neighbors avoided the afflicted, fearing the strange plague might spread through sight or sound alone. Days turned into weeks. The strange spectacle drew onlookers from nearby towns. Priests prayed for deliverance. Merchants tried to profit by selling water and food to the dancers, but many refused to stop long enough to eat. Children were pulled inside by their parents, windows were shut tight, and the once lively streets became places of fear. As time passed, theories began to form. Some believed it was the punishment of Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers, angered by the sins of the city. Others thought it was the work of the devil himself, driving the people into madness. Centuries later, scientists would suggest ergot poisoning, a toxic fungus found in rye bread that can cause hallucinations and spasms. Still others point to mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where extreme stress causes large groups to exhibit the same bizarre behavior. But in 1518, the cause remained a mystery, and the bodies continued to fall. Every day, 15 to 20 people were said to die from the relentless movements, and yet the survivors kept going, as if trapped in a nightmare they could not wake from. Finally, after about 2 months, the city officials changed their approach. Believing divine intervention was needed, they gathered the remaining dancers and sent them on pilgrimage to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus. There, barefoot and trembling, the dancers offered prayers, received blessings, and were given red shoes, symbolic of their suffering and penance. Slowly, the dancing stopped. The survivors returned home, but many were physically broken for life. Their feet were permanently damaged, and some never recovered from the mental trauma. The dancing plague of 1518 has never been fully explained. Was it poison? Madness? A curse? We may never know, but it remains one of the strangest and most disturbing events in human history. A moment when hundreds of people danced, not for joy, not for celebration, but for their very lives, until death claimed them. And somewhere in the quiet streets of Strasbourg, if you listen closely, some say you can still hear the faint echo of footsteps, a ghostly rhythm from a summer long past. And yet, centuries later, the questions still linger in the shadowed corners of Strasbourg's history. Was it merely an illness? Or were these people truly under the control of some dark, unseen force, dancing to its sinister command? Perhaps the city's ancient stones still remember holding deep within their cracks the echoes of frantic footsteps, waiting patiently for the day they might start again. Some say the summer of 1518 was a curse. Others believe it was the city's own fear taking physical form. But no matter the cause, one thing remains certain: the dancing plague will forever march forward through the pages of history, its rhythm echoing across time. Close your eyes, and you can almost hear it. The distant thud of bare, bloodied feet against cobblestone, the labored breaths, the cries for mercy, fading into the night, yet never truly gone. And maybe, just maybe, in the quietest hours, somewhere in Strasbourg, the dance is still happening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon, so our future tales of dark history reach you first. Our Dark History series continues. Check the playlist and uncover the shadows of the past you may have never heard before. Because some stories don't just live in history books. They live in the darkness, waiting to be told again. This video is narrated by an AI voice, script and editing done by human.